Hello and welcome to the very last event of our Onyx Path Con for 2022.
Kind
Closing
of.
ceremonies.
The last official
Yay!
The last
Woohoo!
official event of Onyx Path Con 2022 of
event.
the world's most popular fantasy game currently in 5th edition.
Etc. Etc. And so on and so on.
Yes, and once again, as Chad has confirmed, Matthew Dawkins has not received an invite, so apparently someone has spurned him yet again.
So this was deliberate. We didn't want Matthew in this one.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware.
Like the previous one was some sort of kaflooey thing. I think he basically said he wasn't going to be in it and then changed his mind. And same thing here, because honestly, he should be in bed.
Matthew doesn't want to hang out with us, is the problem.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on this panel, but then we realized after the last panel, no, we don't.
Yeah. Matthew's
It's like,
afraid he's going to get
it's
COVID
good.
from me via the internet.
Yeah. Like he said in one of the other things, oh well, I was not invited, and and yet we asked him while he was in the chat to address everyone, and we
Right.
took that information and we gave that to everyone from Matthew because we wanted him involved in that particular panel.
Mm-hmm.
But this time we're not asking for nothing from him.
Nope, nothing.
Get about it.
If people are interested in the upcoming Pathcast Q&A episode that we'll be releasing this week or next, we will talk more about this ongoing drama. That is not at all drama, but the chat were taking sides. It was ugly.
Yeah, no, it was a problem.
So before I dive in, I just want someone in chat just said that I wanted a big thanks in advance to Onyx Path for making this online convention. It was great to be able to participate regardless of where we live. So.
That's the thing I love most about
So glad
it.
you could enjoy it.
That is also why I say whenever people ask, like, are you going to keep doing these? Like, well, maybe, but maybe we will replace them with something else that's also virtual because I like the idea of our fans from everywhere being able to join in.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's like, a couple weekends a year, we have like a game weekend or a couple streams or whatever, like, it's just cool to be able to do stuff with people from all over because I know, like, I would love to get to a lot of the, no person in chat, you didn't miss most of the stream. We just started the stream.
We just started.
It's cool. We have only just started.
But yeah, like I would love to get to some of the European conventions and haven't gotten to. So it's cool to be able to talk to the people that I could meet at those, via the internet.
It's the magic of the internet.
The magic of the internet. And the magic of most of us being in East Coast or Central Time, so we can schedule this pretty easily, except for Matthew, who throws everything off.
Right, it's because of his time zone being 17 minutes ahead of us.
17 minutes, but also he's much larger
5
than
hours.
we are.
Right, 5 hours and 17 minutes, whatever. But that is a good segue into the con as a whole. I mean, so obviously we've been really excited to see everyone. Again, we talked about having fun in the chat, having fun with the games. But I throw it to not only my colleagues but also people in the chat. How was your show? I mean, what cool things happened during the show? What did you like?
Yeah, tell us. I liked that I made it through the show.
Yes.
That is a big
through
part.
the Wilder show.
You have to show the bottle progress.
Oh, okay. This was full on Friday. Now keep in mind that a dose is like an ounce and it's only 12 ounces. It's only like 12 doses. It's not as bad as it looks.
Spaced out throughout the length of the convention.
Yeah, throughout 3 days.
Just high on Dayquil.
4 doses a day.
High on Dayquil. But this has got.
You're gonna chug it when you do your Jackbox game. Right?
I mean, maybe. I don't know if that's advisable. I don't want to,
chug it.
I'm not sure if that's actually against like Twitch terms of service. Like, I'm not sure if I can do like drugs on stream.
Adult drugs, because you have to give an ID for that.
Yeah. So either way, it is alcohol free and non-drowsy, so it's not like I'm getting.
There you go.
So you can't complain.
But yeah, so
Twitch.
I am very glad that the COVID did not hit me harder than it did.
We are all that.
Because as of Thursday morning, I did not know if I was going to be able to do anything here. I was like, probably know I'm going to be in bed all weekend because I have friends that have gotten it. That's literally how hard it hit them. And so I was like, who knows? Luckily, I've been mostly okay, which is nice. And I've had a lot of fun. I didn't get to play at any games this time, but I feel like the fact that I got to play in so many actual plays in the past year because we've been showcasing things over on the Pathcast has kind of made up for that. Because it's like, no, I didn't play anything this weekend, but I met only in 2 regular D&D games, but I also got to play Crossroads Continent. I've gotten to play Exalted Essence. We're going to play some other stuff. Like, I've got to make characters for Scion. I've been doing a lot of stuff with gaming, which is nice.
Yeah, and you facilitated people's fun, which
It's true.
I'm sure feels good.
I'm a fun-facilitator.
Yeah, I personally don't. I don't enjoy that, but that's cool.
That's not a word.
Yeah.
Facilitator?
Facilitator.
Is it a portmanteau?
It
It is a portmanteau, but it is not a word.
Is portmanteau a portmanteau?
I actually don't know. I don't think it is.
Don't think it is. Maybe it is. That said, I am also doing the after party like I did last year. After party means I will probably be having another glass of wine and playing some Jackbox on this here Twitch channel.
Glass of wine, glass of Dayquil, glass of wine, glass of Dayquil.
Once again, a glass of Dayquil seems unadvised. But yeah, so we'll play some Jackbox with the community. We'll hang out. It'll be fun. Also, apparently, portmanteau is a portmanteau.
Thank you, Spider.
Thank you, Spider.
Thank y'all. I knew somebody knew.
So yeah, we've got some people in chat saying some fun things too. But what about y'all? What did you enjoy doing?
I enjoyed the response to us teasing and actually giving out some of the new projects that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really great to see people getting excited about it, speculating, begging for more information, which they can't have, and just generally, nice to talk about a few things that we've been working on, and we got plenty more of those that will we will pop out into the public in the course of the next year.
Absolutely. Do you want to kind of recap those for folks who maybe missed a specific panel or whatnot?
I don't particularly personally want to, but can you?
I can do that.
I can do mine first because mine's shorter.
You go ahead and do yours.
2 things. Exigence Indiegogo is still happening. It is still going on. We have other high-level tiers to release. Please go check it out. I think Sovereigns drop on Tuesday. We dropped the Architects on Friday. And we'll be dropping the Appendix this coming week as well. So we're almost done with the manuscript drops. The campaign goes for another week and 2 days. So definitely check it out in that time if you can. We talked about Essence 2 still on backer cut, so that's definitely also something you can go check out if you want to. And we announced that we got approval from Paradox to start working on Abyssals.
Indeed.
And the other small announcement was that Sidereal's subtitle is A Charting Fates Course.
It's like a foghorn.
That's exactly what Sidereals sound like.
I didn't know that was canonically true, but
yeah.
That's the sound of the star. That's the sound between the stars. Is a foghorn.
Yeah.
The sound between the stars.
It's not a beautiful tinkling sound or anything like you might imagine it.
Oh god.
Sailor Moon or something.
So let's see. On the Trinity panel, we did talk about a lot of Trinity books and where everything's at, including several of the upcoming Aberrant source books. So there are multiple ones to look forward to, including From the Shadows, which covers espionage and the like. There is With Great Power, which covers superheroic teams. Best at What I Do, which is elites and other kind of solo heroes. Snicked. And Hated and Feared, which is our Aberrant, Terrigen, and other misunderstood factions book.
I think a couple of them are pretty understandable.
Well, yeah, Divizbel had some valid points, yes. And
arms.
But mostly we did announce that we are working on Trinity Continuum Aegis, which is our upcoming Ancient Worlds game that is, obviously kind of based a little bit in Greek heroic tradition, but also we're expanding to all heroic tradition. And it's going to be our sci-fi slant on that. So it's not going to be a fantasy game. It's going to be an ancient sci-fi game, which would be really cool. And I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and how that kind of label or tag or whatever you want to say about it plays out and is manifest inside the game, so that it will definitely feel as if you were exploring through ancient myth, but there'll be Trinity reasons for it.
Indeed. And then finally, in the Pathcast Q&A, Matthew announced a brand new story path fantasy game called The World Below, which is going to be actually based on a product idea that we developed right on the Pathcast. So you can actually hear the genesis of this idea in one of our episodes. And then we talked a little bit about it, so I highly recommend. Normally, we'd say these will be up on YouTube, but also since it was a Pathcast recording, you will also find it on the Onyx Pathcast, and either this Friday or next Friday.
So you can watch it 3 to 4 times if you want to.
Right. Yeah. So there's definitely plenty of ways to get into about this world, but I am reliably told it is of worlds, which is below. So I mean, that should be a good teaser.
Aren't all worlds below something?
Well, true, but this is below the ground, I guess, more specifically. And
below the crust of the earth.
And then we also
came from below the crust
during the Bahadana panel. We are working in partnership with Badana. Badana is making a game, and we are assisting with them making a game called Branch Riders, which is a tabletop role-playing game specifically it is a fun role-playing game in itself, but it's also used at the ground level so that therapists can professionally use it in their sessions to help people out. So it is a therapy-forward tabletop role-playing game, but also it's just a fun, cool adventure exploration game. And
it is very cool.
It's developed entirely by the Badana group, so it's not using StoryPath. They're using their own proprietary system, their own world. But we are helping them out because we just love everything Badana does. We want to make sure that we can help them avoid the pitfalls of making your very first game in the gaming industry.
Yeah, if you take the time to check out the Badana interview with Jack Birkenstock, how could anyone say no to that guy? He's such a nice guy.
You just can't.
He is a nice guy.
I do have a digression because Matthew has been insisting to use his Vampire the Masquerade trivia knowledge all weekend.
No.
So he's
this is why you were banned from this, Matthew, is that you keep mentioning a game that doesn't that will never be published, and you're using it to drive the fans insane, and it's not fair.
Well, then I will not read the question he posted in chat, but suffice to say, if you are interested in chat and reading the question, it is posted there.
There you go.
But I think it's all the announcements. Oh, and also this month, we're having a huge 50% off sale on a lot of our projects across not only Drive-Thru-RPG, which of course we love working with, but also our friends at Studio 2 and IPR, which handle a lot of our distribution of our books that go into stores. So if you're looking for not only the offset printed books, but also the deluxe editions, dice and screens, those are definitely the places to go check those out.
Just a couple clarifications there, Eddie. I believe that sale is actually over pretty much with the con.
Oh, okay. Well, then go quickly.
I don't think it lasts a month. If it does, then hey, people, if you come to it a week from now and it's still going, I was wrong. And the other thing is, I really want to be clear, is when we say something is going to be on sale in one of these things, that each of our sales partners that we work with have a kind of particular thing that they do for us. So Drive-Thru-RPG, PDFs, and print on demands are what's there. So I can't say that I'm reasonably sure that we are not going 50% off on PODs because we don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
It's PDFs at Drive-Thru that are 50% off. And then the physical books and screens and dice and everything else like that, that's IPR and Studio 2.
Right. Yep. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that, because I mean, I did check right before the show and it looked like the sales were still live because someone was asking me for what projects were on sale. So I do know as of right now, if you're watching this live,
and it may go till tomorrow. I don't, I'm not 100% sure, but I just saw a thing go up from, it was on Twitter from one of our partners saying this is going for another, day and so many hours. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know.
Cool.
So I just realized I didn't talk about my experience with the show. We got both of yours, and then we got digressed by Matthew, which happens
That's very normal.
Even when he's not here, he's still managed.
I mean, he is here, just not on screen.
He's lurking.
Secrets. But yeah, no. We had obviously several panels together, which are always fun, and people. One thing I like about doing the virtual panels is that we can actually take questions from an audience in a much easier way.
Yeah.
Because when we're doing live panels, it's Rich and I talking for 50 minutes, and then we ask people to ask questions, and one or two people raise their hands, and it's hard to hear them, and it's just kind of frustrating for everybody.
Just as we're about to say the most coolest thing in the world, you hear the sound of a train going by right next
Oh my
door.
God, the train!
I also have found,
drowned out.
like, as someone who's attended a lot of conventions as a fan, and not even just game conventions, just cons in general, I gotta tell you how often I have been sitting there during a Q&A going, like, I have a question, don't forget your question's in your head, okay, you
Right.
have a question, and then, like, by the time you get up to the mic, or, like, it comes to the time, you're like, I've forgotten my question, what was my question, I don't know what's happening.
Remember that
So-
time you made that book? That
So-
was really cool.
Yeah, so this is also easier for fans, because they can just type it in as they think about things.
Mhm.
Because yeah, like I have definitely sat in the back of a panel, like literally missing parts of the panel because I'm concentrating so hard on like what is my question, and then of course maybe they covered my question, the part that I zoned out of because I was trying to think of my question, and so it's just a big anxiety problem.
Yeah.
Just a big anxiety spiral. It's bad.
Or you finally get your question, you remember it, and you're about to send something, and someone puts their hand up, and they say, "I have a 3-part question." It's more of a comment than a question, and then it's gone again.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't. But I have a real question.
Right. So someone mentioned in the chat that it's also nice because then we can just download these and put them up so people can see exactly what we said in context, which is great.
Yep.
So that way, and also people can go back and reference them, and then we can point back to them and say, "Oh, we covered that in blah panel."
Which is also just extra accessible.
So was that your favorite part of the con?
So yeah.
No, that was the one part of it.
Okay.
It's more of a comment. in two
Yeah.
parts.
Well, to be fair, my favorite con being logistics
Yeah.
is very much key me. So I mean that makes sense. But no, actually, I also got to run a small game of Pirates of Pugmire, not Pirates, but Squeaks and Deep. I've been talking a lot about Pugmire this weekend. And that was interesting because it was a 2-hour slot, which is not a time I've done with before. I've done like 1 hour and I've done 3 or 4 hours, but not that 2-hour zone. So that was interesting challenge. But it was nice to kind of run a Monarchies game and to showcase some of the stuff coming up in the Squeaks Deep Companion, which people were suitably pleased and creeped out by. So that's I think the good
Nice.
zone for Squeaks in the Deep.
I like it.
Also, Alan Gilspid said, I have to say the moderators for all panels I've attended, both as a viewer and panelist, did a great job at tracking the viewers' questions, so kudos to them as well.
Great. Well, good to know.
So thanks to all our moderators, because that was definitely a huge help.
That's absolutely essential to making this stuff work.
Mm-hmm.
Moderators and tech.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Actually,
tech.
we're not even that important to this, Eddie, when you think about it.
We just show up and
Talking
babble for an
heads.
hour and leave. We are the most replaceable portion of all of this, to be fair.
Hey, we're the talent, man.
I actually like running tech when I'm not on stream because I've done that for 2 panels so far. So I can just like chill out, listen to the panel, like play my Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, yep, chilling out, listen to the panel. Oh, I hear them wrapping up. Put the switch down, get ready to hit the button. You know.
Yeah, but it's still pretty important.
I mean,
So you know
yeah,
what,
it's chill important.
I've been thinking a little bit. Eddie, could you read that question of Matthew's?
Oh, you want to do it now?
The trivia question? Now I'm curious.
Okay.
It's been eating at me.
So there are actually 3 questions. Each one is consecutively worth more points. 3 of Malkav's child are served as bogeymen for and guardians of the clan, and were collectively known as the Coranti.
Coronati.
Coronati, thank you. For 1 point, which of Malkav's childer would be called for by a Malkavian gripped by nightmarish dementia? For 3 points, which of the Malkavian childer would be called for when Malkavian's enemies needed to be deceived? And for 5 points, which one of Malkav's childer would be called for by a Malkavian whose mad fever is needed to be soothed?
All right. Answers in the chat. If you get if you're watching this 3 years from now, feel free to send us a message.
Thank you
It
for
was-
the gift sub, Zach.
Yes, thank you, Zach. During the Q&A, when he answered that, someone did answer the question, but they had to go get their book and look it up.
Yeah, I with many of these, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I guess Matthew feels that the questions are insanely hard,
Mhm.
and so I don't know what to tell you.
Given the samples I've seen so far, he's not wrong.
Basically, he needs to stop asking questions about Malkav.
There are all
These are all the hard ones.
I googled Coronetti and Malkov, and
Uh-huh.
it says Did you mean Coronet Motel?
Yes.
I did. Coronet Motel is my new wave
It's the
band name.
modern equivalent of Enoch.
Must include Coronet. Your search it did not match any documents. Okay, well, I guess it's not on the internet.
There's nothing on the internet about this. Matthew made it up.
Oh, maybe I spelled it wrong, actually.
Coronat.
Yeah, no, I spelled it wrong. But still, I should have figured it out.
Right, Grand Coronado.
Right. So that's why all of you have come to this clothing ceremonies is to watch vigorous Googling.
Ooh, it is here. Oh, and someone actually answered one of them.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
To be fair, I was
think.
kind of
Now, was it a book assisted or Google assisted, or was it straight up out of Mr. Stewart's noggin?
Oh yeah, Chipotle Chris the third is the Plague Bride, which is true. Oh wait, how did Chris get it wrong? That's what comes up when you Google it. Right,
Well,
Coronati, Plague Bride, Typhoid Mary, Jane Pennington.
This is obviously Matthew's personal knowledge supersedes the internet.
This says that he soothed him in his fervors and cooled his forehead. What are you talking about, Matthew?
Are you arguing with someone on chat?
Yeah, because I'm literally reading this, and Matthew's like, that's wrong. And I'm like, but that's what the White Wolf Wiki says. So really, you're saying that Ian is wrong.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we did have to fire Ian earlier today, so.
And we know that Matthew and Ian have a blood feud.
It's true. The blood feud was reignited earlier today. The answers are...
1, the Plague Bride. 3, Nasiku, the Clever Prince. And the Nameless One, the Eater. Then why does this say that the Plague Bride did the thing that the third one did? You're weird, Matthew.
Matthew is wrong.
Get out of here.
Get
out of here. This is quality content.
Why is Matthew on the panel? He's clearly able to be different at the same time yesterday. We don't know.
We don't know. We'd love to know that. Matthew hates us.
I remember Matthew saying that he couldn't be on this panel.
I thought it was too late.
Right.
No, I remember Matthew said it when we were talking about when the panels were, and he said that he couldn't be on this one. So maybe plans changed. I don't want to put words in his mouth except for those. Because I heard those.
So what about words in mouth except for the ones I just did? Yes, that's fair. Yeah, so I mean,
so that was a fun part for you then? You're good?
Yeah. Apparently, people are now deciding who's going to win in that feud. Matthew has a sword. I didn't know Matthew has a sword, so now I'm scared.
Ian has a biovark.
A what?
A biovark.
Oh, right. Yes. And
aren't you the lead of
I heard
Trinity?
biovark as in like an aardvark that has bio stuff stacked to it. And
oh yeah,
it's an aardvark that has to use the bathroom. He's taking a biovark.
Serb is the battle tank.
That is appropriate. So let's see. We've covered. We recapped the announcements. We covered the sale. We covered the Indiegogo. We talked about the show. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's been 10 years since
it's been.
I knew it. As soon as it came out of my mouth.
It's been
1 week since you looked at me.
It's been
So I mean,
10 years.
is there anything else
Onyx
about
Path.
the past 10 years that we haven't already talked about over the weekends?
Nope. No, I mean.
I mean, no one knows about my history prior to 2018, so we're gonna leave it that way.
I think that's just.
I want to be
Did you
mysterious.
exist before then? Even though I know
we
you
do.
existed
We don't want any, shall we say, federal involvement.
Which ignore all of that.
We're all fine down here.
Claudia, Las Vegas.
Claudia Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, we went into some of the, the getting started with the company and all that sort of stuff in the interview with Ian. So I think we did a good stretch through all that sort of stuff. But if people have specific questions or anything about what we're doing.
Yeah, please ask questions. Also, Nicholas, I will answer your question right now. Do you know what the next crowdfunded project will be? I do.
Yep, we do.
We all do know that. We plan in advance, but guess who doesn't know that? Anybody else?
Right.
So we have our own. We're in charge of them projects, and we don't need permissions from other companies to do those. And then we have the ones where we require the hey, that looks
Mm-mm-mm.
okay, where we have to go through a process. And then we also have the processes with the various crowdfunding venues. And in the midst of all that, we have to get the art and the writing and the stretch goals and everything the way we want it perfectly. So if we say one thing and then it actually takes longer to do than we want
Mhm.
to, and that slot is sliding away, but another one is ready to go, we want to retain the ability to drop that in there and not
Yeah.
confuse anybody.
So we will
So
never announce the schedule aside from here's the this is coming out Tuesday.
Right. Yeah, and on top of that, Kickstarter's been going through a lot of changes lately, and so
changes.
that put some wrinkles in. We've been, for a variety of reasons, also looking at other crowdfunding platforms, and those add their own wrinkles. So that there's lots of both internal and external reasons why it's just better for us to announce them when they're ready, so we can say it's going live on the 13th, and we can guarantee to be on the 13th, as opposed to it'll start in a month. Okay, maybe 3 weeks. Okay, maybe 5 weeks. Okay, it's actually a different thing now. Because we did that once where we announced it for one crowdfunding platform, we had to quickly shift to another crowdfunding platform, and that was already frustrating. So adding to that, shifting release dates, we just think it's a better experience for everybody if we only announce it when we're confident
Yeah.
that it will be delivered in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few smaller crowdfunding projects that we haven't had the opportunity to get up there.
Mhm.
And we're just kind of looking for a chance that maybe we could slide that in if there looks like there's going to be a considerable gap.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And those are weird and odd and kind of experimental, and we don't want to throw any of that stuff off when if we can see an opportunity to jump in and go, hey, now we're doing this.
We've done our
Right.
pre-orders too for a couple things, so that's also a possibility. You never know what's going to
Mm-hmm.
go up on pre-order.
Yep.
So yeah. Highly by becoming a mod, Pineapple Bend. That's how you delete someone else's comment.
This question of which game line will be next available for community content.
Whichever one comes out next, all the way.
Right. There are a couple of factors in determining that. On the one is the game has to actually be formally released, which sounds like an obvious one, but given how we do Kickstarters and pre-orders, that's actually not as intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Mike, in his very busy schedule, has to find time to pull the art assets together. We have to get a template put together, so that all takes time as well. So sometimes like Rich said, with crowdfunding, sometimes certain games are ready before others. So it's better to just say, "Hey, this is now live," rather than to give a rolling schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we put the one up for Aberrant?
Aberrant's live, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been live for a bit, but
It's the last one I remember.
that sounds
And of
about
course,
right.
all of my lines that I'm in charge of are paradox controlled, so that's all Storyteller's Vault stuff. So I'm like, oh.
Which that's another thing. I don't know if everybody understands that. We have nothing to do with Storyteller's Vault.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, unless we put something up on there, but
unless we
that's
personally put something up there, right? Which we have not done.
Matthew says Beyond the Grave.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Sorry. He said Beyond the Grave.
And the Grave what?
Community content was latest.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Right.
That's cool. That's a good one for community content. More people need to do stuff with that because it's an awesome, funky game. So Storyteller's Vault's not ours. We get nothing from it at all. If you buy things on Storyteller's Vault, we don't get any of that. We don't get a percentage, even if you're basing it off of something that we published for.
Yeah, because it's not our IP.
Yeah, if our places are the Storypath Nexus, the Canis Minor for Pugmire, and what else we got?
The Slurician Vault.
The Slurician Vault for Scarlands. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are ours. Same sort of deal, and then you're actually supporting both our company and our projects,
and also yourself.
And because you are a creator at that point,
Yeah.
getting paid, a professional creator.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about doing things like community content is that they get wrapped up in promotions that Drive Through RPG are doing. So like when we have some sales we've done, some community content have come along for that ride, which means you get more exposure. You make quote unquote less money on each individual sale, sure, but I've learned from experience on my own projects that you usually make a lot more money in the long run because a lot more people are like, oh, I wouldn't have bought that for $2, but for $1, that looks like something I'll go ahead and pick up. And so the money you lose, you like, you make 50% of the money in each one, but you sell 4 times as much. You're making twice as much money, as random made up numbers.
Yeah,
so,
I can't tell you the amount of things that for like a microtransaction, I'm like, it's only $1. It's only $1, but it's $2. I'm like, oh no, it's $2.
Right.
Or like it's like difference between like 5 versus 10. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like something for $4.99 or something for $9.99. I'm like,
there's a sales term for that barrier.
And and it's weird because like I will have no problem dropping like several $100s on like plane tickets or whatever to go visit a family member, but I will agonize over a $5 purchase online.
Yeah.
That's about the virtues of the Mythos Pantheon. Do they have?
I was kind of hoping to see the virtues, lack of virtues of the Mythos Pantheon were going to be revealed during the con. Give me a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that we can say that. Like that's fine, right?
They do have virtues.
Yeah, I just forgot what they were.
To find them.
Yeah, I'm like sitting here too. Like,
were they not part of the Kickstarter manuscript?
Yeah, I thought they were.
They were not because I had to add that in later.
Fair enough.
I just made characters for that.
Ooh.
I know one of them is one big foot.
Yes, that is absolutely what happens.
Yeah, I have an old manuscript because they're not in the one that I have.
Another one is smooth forehead.
Where did I put these? Oh, that's where. No. I don't know where. So I think it's nihilism and humanity, I believe, are the virtues.
I like it.
So I will. When y'all see the final PDF, you'll see those more clearly. But I'm pretty sure those are the ones.
Yeah, because I definitely can't find them. I looked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, you do have them.
But speaking of masks of the Mythos and Scion, but specifically masks of the Mythos and what people will actually be getting for masks.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
We could let people know about that and then let James clean it up.
Okay. Yeah. So, Eddie, I think you have the final word on that, but it's remember I was talking about different projects coming in at different times. This is an example of how this actually could be to the benefit of people. Yes.
Right. And we have talked a few different panels about how we're always kind of trying new things and looking into new ways of approaching things.
It's only going to be released on audiobook, and I'm going to read it all in my mouse voice.
Okay, we'll put that in the pitch file.
I kind of want to hear that now, but anyway.
Welcome to Mass of the Mythos.
So we were looking at how the books kind of landed in the size, and then we were looking at the material that came with the stretch goal book and how it compared to masks, and it was like, why don't we just put these together? So our current plan is that we're going to actually take all of the stretch goal material from the Masks of Mythos Companion, and that's actually going to end up in the Masks of Mythos book. So it's all going to be one volume.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I was aware of this, is because both of the devs involved in those separate books have fulfilled their obligations. So I'm kind of stepping in. Okay, I'll take over and kind of just stitch all these things together.
Yeah, it's like when we separated things out after, the size of Exalted and Mage 20 and whatever, like they're doing companions, but sometimes that means that you get two kind of small books. Right. And it's like, well, we put them together and made one larger book with all the information, so you don't have to reference two books all the time.
Yeah, Mask was a good size, a reasonable size, but it wasn't, it wasn't really, wasn't huge. We thought, well, why not put these together? And that way, if you backed for it, you're getting that stretch goal material right in the physical book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In the offset print run.
Yeah, and again, well, this is us trying to turn a detriment into a positive, in that because we have these weird deadlines for the print runs,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually it's actually it's more delayed than it would have been if we didn't have those, which gives us the time to drop these things in
Yeah.
Right.
and turn it into a comprehensive sort of a bigger book. So
That's really true, because if we didn't have that printed delay, it would have been just get the next one, get the next one, get the next one,
Yeah.
because we try to get a steady
Right.
stream of projects to our printer.
we're still catching up from COVID, really.
Mhm.
And also with editing slate, I mean, I had deprioritized Whispers in Darkness, which is the Mythos companion, because Mythos wasn't out yet.
Mhm.
And the whole point of like my editing slate is that I try to get stuff edited that's going to be going out sooner. And so we're obviously not going to put out the companion before Mythos is out. And
Right.
so I deprioritized it, and then all of a sudden, this is the same kind of thing that happened with Demigod recently, where it's like it was hanging out, it was fine, and all of a sudden it was like go, it's go time,
Right.
it's go time, and I was like, okay, I'll get it to an editor. I'm sorry, we're going.
Right, because the printer window popped up on us, and it's
Yeah.
like we got to get to the printer.
And why not do this cool thing?
People always ask that question.
So Velvet T asked, "What is your favorite game line to work on?" The answer is all of them.
The answer is all of them, but also the answer is depends on what kind of work you mean, because I do a lot of different kinds of work for the company.
That's also true.
Like, I like to write on Pugmire and They Came From, probably the most.
Mhm.
Just because I like I'm not a super effective horror writer. That's not my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
I'm very good at being informative and direct, which is why I did a lot of academic writing. And Pugmire definitely hits me with the like informative and direct, to like make it easy to understand, but don't talk down to people, etc., etc. And then I love They Came From because it allows me to use my sense of humor a little bit. As far as uh, you know, proofing and art direction, I really love Exalted. Anything Exalted, because we could just get real gonzo with the illustrations with that one.
Yeah.
And then editing, I always love reading whatever we're doing for Scion. I love reading anything fiction. So yeah, like I love reading Scarlet's Adventures. So it's just like, depending on what we're talking about is what kind of work I like doing on it, because I work all over the place, and it's super fun, and it's also something that like I can't pick one, and
Right.
none of us will ever pick one of our babies. Although Eddie might love Pugmire the most, which would make sense.
Well, I mean, I was about to say,
It is
it's
your
like, you know,
baby.
obviously, I mean, on a large scale, I prefer to work on Pugmire, but
Mhm.
you know, I really dug the challenge of like working on Anima, for example, because that was a whole new thing, and it's a different tone. And as much as I love Pugmire,
I freaking loved
there
Anima. Yeah.
there are times where like I like to change gears.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Similar, like I had just gotten off of doing a lot of Vampire the Masquerade when Matthew approached me about They Came From Beneath the Sea, and it was just a breath of fresh air. You know, it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so different. And so, I mean, there are games that I don't like working on only because I've worked on them a lot, or there's a particular project I'm struggling with. Exalted, I respect and appreciate, but I have tried to write for it, and there's just a depth of lore and knowledge that I don't quite have, that I sometimes struggle with.
You could totally write for Essence though.
Yeah, I mean, I really dug the Essence game, and it's very kind of different approach towards that. Was like, oh, that's actually really refreshing, and I'm kind of excited about this. So,
Did Matthew put an answer in that, or is he?
no, Matthew's gone to
Matthew's
bed.
gone.
He did go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got an early day tomorrow.
Did
He's
he
my-
hear that we read out his question, or did he? Just,
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
left
heard
it
all
off.
that part, but then he had to go.
Left
Right.
it a minute and a half.
Oh, sorry, Rich. Do you have a favorite game to work on?
There is absolutely no way I can answer that question.
That's what I thought. Just want to check.
I will
I work
say-
all over every bit of every game,
Yeah.
and at different points I come in and do things. Either it's approvals, or like I'm waiting for art notes on the Scion God Pantheon, so that I can design the symbols for them.
That's what I was going to point out, actually, is that even if you don't have a favorite to work on, one of my favorite things to see your process on are the Scion Pantheon symbols. Because you really do, like, when we do a Scion Pantheon symbol, and Rich has done blogs about this, so please, like, go read that if you want a super in-depth thing. We go and we talk to the authors of those pantheons or the book devs, depending on like what are some major symbols from this culture or from this pantheon that would work for a pantheon symbol. And then the dev tells us, or the writer tells us, and then Rich goes and does a shit ton of research.
Yeah.
And then does these super intricate symbols. Because if you look at the symbols for Scion versus the symbols for, like, Vampire, right? Vampire's great, but they're solid black symbols that you could use on anything. So they're by nature very simple. Whereas if you look at Scion, there's so many little details in every single Pantheon symbol, and it's
they all have meaning.
Yeah, and like everything means something. Like I didn't know about rope knot language until I saw that one symbol, and then I learned a thing from your breakdown, and so I think that's really cool to see. Like, yeah, I think it's nifty.
Well, thank you, Dixie. It's really nice to hear.
It makes me happy.
Yeah. I learn things when I see stuff from the devs art notes as well, because there'll be things I like, obviously I read it about a particular culture and like I've got an idea what we should do, and then I'll read one of their things going, yeah, I'm gonna pull all the way around on this one because that sounds a lot more interesting. Or I may see something in there that I thought was like, I've seen it all over the place as something that represents this particular culture, and the dev will go, whatever you do, don't use this. Because it's actually not this culture's pantheon symbol thing, because it's been taken out of context and it's just whoa, okay. I will back off of that.
Good to know.
No, they're also cool, and I have never seen a writer or a dev see the final symbol and be like, ugh, no. Like they're always like, oh my god, like that's so much more than I could have imagined. So
yes, absolutely. Another question is, which Onyx Path game have you played the most?
Later.
Now, I'm gonna. The question is specified, but since it said played, I'm assuming that running a game does not count.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm also going to assume Onyx Path game means not a license. Well, at least not a.
I wouldn't assume that.
Not a White Wolf license.
I wouldn't assume that. I mean, you can answer it that way.
Okay, well, if it's a White Wolf license, it's Vampire the Masquerade, because I've been playing that since I was 15 years old.
Right.
But if it's an Onyx Path game, oh god, probably Trinity, because of our long-running actual play. But maybe
the Aberrant one.
No. Well, I did the Aberrant one and the Anima one.
Oh, and the Anima one, and also the
and then the
Pathcast one.
So like, I played a fair amount of Trinity. I've played some Scion, but not as much as Trinity. And I've played a bunch of They Came From, but they're all one-shots. So, like, I don't think I've played as much of those.
Right.
And if we count... And, like, Pugmire, once again, I played a bunch of, like, one-shots, but I've never played, like, an ongoing campaign. I definitely run Pugmire the most of all of our games.
Right.
But, yeah, it's probably going to be Trinity for me. And, like, Trinity Continuum as a whole.
Right.
Just because that's where it's at.
Yeah, of those, I think actually Anima probably is the one you've played the most.
Probably, yeah.
Because you had 9 hours of the one and 3 hours of the other, and then the play testing.
Yeah. So lots of Anima if you want to go with a specific OP game line. But of all of them, it's definitely Vampire the Masquerade, because that's what got me really super into gaming as a teenager.
Right.
And then I played it a bunch with my friends up until I was in my 20s. Took a little bit of a break, got back into it, and then got hired here. And I was like, oh, shit. So.
My breakdown's pretty similar. Like, I not only have played Vampire First Edition, which most people think they've played, but actually usually play Second Edition or misremembering First Edition. But also, I am a dirty, filthy LARPer, so I have played a lot of Vampire the Masquerade. But weirdly, I was just doing the math in my head as you were talking, and I think of the Onyx Path owned games, the one I've played the most right now is actually Crossroads Continent.
I mean, I have played a lot of Crossroads Continent too.
Because we had the long game, 4-hour game at Saving Sphere, and then we've been playing this. What was going to be a one-shot and has now become a 3-shot, potentially a longer shot.
And you guys seem to want to keep going, so
it's awesome. No, I love it. It's great.
Now, I will tell you one thing, and that's there are 2 Onyx Path games that are licensed creator-owned games, but 2 of them that I have never played. that I would love to, and that is Dystopia Rising and Cavaliers of Mars. I've just never gotten to play them. Now, granted, I could probably con Rose Bailey into running Cavaliers of Mars for me because she lives like 20 minutes away.
Right.
I just haven't because it's been pandemic times.
And she could do some odd 2-person version of it, some sort of, some variant on the gameplay in like, snap of her fingers.
But I've got Megan Fitzgerald and my partner and Rose's partner here. We should do a big.
No. I think it's more the fact that understand that if Rose is running a game for you, it is almost certainly also a playtest, whether you realize it or not.
Oh, true.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
As Tom is saying in chat, Changeling is his most run game, and I think Changeling the Lost is probably my second most played game, partially because of Tom Murr inviting me to all of his Changeling games, where I've gotten to play my amazing Spiegelbild, Dilka, who I love to death. So.
Yes.
I playtested a lot of them, but honestly, I think besides Vampire, because I actually was in the original before it was published playtesting, we ran for, I don't know, my D&D crew ran it for I don't know, six months at least. Pugmire, I think I played Pugmire more than anything else.
Really?
With the various convention games we've done and the playtesting.
Oh yeah. I would say also right there against Changing the Lost would also be Essence, because I've played in a lot of playtests and con games and things like that. So I played a fair amount of Exalted Essence, which is cool.
A lot. We've played a lot. There's a quick question for you, Rich. Someone asked, did you make the Celestial Chorus symbol? Because they love that one.
Yeah.
I think you made
Thank
all
you.
of it.
That's great.
I'm waiting for Rich to get mad at me when I finally get my La Sombra tattoo. It's gonna go right here. It's gonna go right here behind my ear.
Oh. Are you going to use my version of the symbol?
Yes.
The good one, yes.
The revised.
I don't like no shade on V5, but I don't like the revised one. Was like, we need 2 crosses and one needs to be fucking huge. Because I do try to avoid religious iconography.
There's the concept meeting.
Right.
Well, like, there's just so recently, our friend Ian Muller from Gehenna Gaming was making like pride emojis for people, and I was like, can you make me the demigirl flag in La Sombra, but V20 La Sombra, like old school La Sombra, not V5, and he did, and it's amazing.
Awesome.
And all the cups I have with La Sombra on them are all the
crown.
They'll call it V20 versus V5, but I'm like,
V20 is a good way to describe it.
It's the original, but whatever.
Right.
But yeah. So yes, I'll be getting that. And I mean, as you know, Rich, my boyfriend
Original's
already...
an L in a wax seal.
Well, yes, I don't like that one. But as you know, Rich, my boyfriend also has the acanthus symbol on his arm, so...
Yeah. It's just so odd.
So someday I'm going to get a stuffy doll tattoo.
I'm sure there must be someone out there.
But if you got stuffy doll, but it was a pug.
Stuffy pug?
Stuffy pug. Puggy doll.
You could commission that, Eddie. I do commissions of
there we go.
The Black Vice or other stuffy doll pieces of art.
You do. I've actually seen you draw some of those when we were at Save Against Fear. We were at the table and you were sketching some of those.
Well, there was a convention up here in Gettysburg that of Magic fans, and the guy wanted me to go, but it was during COVID. I was like, there's no way I'm going to a convention. Right. But he said, well, when we have an artist that we're working with, we have them do a piece that is specifically about our interest, which is the Civil War, Gettysburg specifically. Yeah. And magic, and we'd like, could you do something with the stuffy doll, like, related to it? So I put the stuffy doll in the vice, but gave him Pickett's uniform from the Pickett's charge, and he's in the vice with all the northern symbols for their corps that smashed poor Pickett. So little inside stuff for the Civil War people, and
that's amazing. I love that so much.
But they, it's something that we can do, so it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Travis has offered to run Cavaliers of Mars for you if you would like.
Yeah, I saw. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Also, apparently, if Rose Bailey has ever run a game for you, you have won, and so I have won several times.
You've won a thing. I mean, you've won the pleasure of Rose's company, which is always a great thing to have.
Rose is great. I was just talking to her 2 days ago. So yeah.
And someone's guaranteed to have the Sabat Black Hand tattoo.
A
It's
lot
like,
of people have the Sabat Black
I've
Hand
seen
tattoo.
it. Yeah. My favorite vampire tattoo story is I met a guy in a LARP, of course, and he plays Gangrel, and he had a Gangrel tattoo, and I was like, that's kind of hardcore that you had a tattoo for your character, right? And he's like, oh no, other way around. I'm like, what do you mean? Apparently, he went to a tattoo shop. Someone had the flash up of the Gangrel head. He said, I want that. And then later on, someone said, oh, you play vampire? And say, what are you talking about? And explained it to him.
But that sounds like fun. I gotta go play that. I got the tattoo already.
That's
and
funny.
that's how he started playing LARP, is because someone recognized his tattoo and explained his own tattoo to himself.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
That's amazing.
I love that.
So we are getting close to time, which means close to the end of the convention. So
The official end.
The official end. And then, of course, Dixie will have the unofficial Dayquil laden Jackbox. That's a nice glorp on the mic there.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
I need that for the
it's a
lemurs.
viscous liquid.
Yes.
Next time I do lemurs, that's the sound.
You should record
okay.
that. That's what they sound like.
I'm sure I have some semi-finished bottle in my house somewhere already.
We're being told not to stop, so by orders of Tomer, we are stuck here forever.
We can't stop this panel.
Nope.
This panel must go on forever. It becomes the Monday meeting.
Yep, exactly. Well, Tom, if you're going to make us do it, you have to ask us questions.
Right. So if we keep getting asked questions, maybe we'll stay. But also, I think there's another game starting. I mean, we want to make sure people are still playing games.
In a while. Good
Right.
time.
Whatever.
We're okay. We can do whatever we want.
So while we're waiting for Tomer's endless barrage of questions to hopefully stave off the inevitable, because we will all eventually die. Do you have any other comments about the convention before I wrap things up?
Do we?
Yes.
I just hope everybody had a good time who attended and played, and I haven't seen any info on the number of people who got into play games, and I think there's also a response or a questionnaire that goes with the games with start playing.
That sounds
so hopefully we'll get some feedback from that, but you can also give it to us straight up on our various social media.
Yeah.
Love to hear it. If it was great for you, if there was something odd or that didn't work out for you, but we'd love to hear it.
Also, welcome to any new folks who have joined the Discord in the past few days. I've seen just a string of people joining in the welcome channel.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So yeah, if you're watching this new to the Discord, hello. I am one of the main moderators, even though I'm OPP crew. But I'm also the person who is most likely to ban somebody who starts shit. So don't start shit.
Right.
That's just the Dayquil talking.
No, it's not.
She's getting rowdy now.
If I get tagged in a moderator tag after 9 p.m., like all bets are off. I'm like, no, I'm mad now. Like, go away.
Someone mentioned that the convention was extremely welcoming and warm. It felt like part of a huge family. It's like, well, thank you, because we are perhaps dysfunctional at times.
I mean, yeah. If we're a family, we're really a dysfunctional family. I mean, that's for sure. But we've all learned to live with it and to love each other anyway.
I think we're more like a changeling motley, honestly.
Except for Matthew.
We've
Matthew's a
kicked him out of the
person.
family. We disowned him.
Yeah. So Tom asked if there were topics left for panels, and technically yes, because we could make up all kinds of niche and weird ass topics, but we don't need to do that.
I would argue that is exactly what the Pathcast is.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like we didn't have a bunch of let's talk about.
Were there panels we wanted to run but we didn't? Is that basically what he said?
No, I think he's just giving us shit.
He also said, "I'm not tired, you're tired." So I think it's just the exhaustion talking.
He's just randomly typing and words come out sort of.
He is one of our European friends, so it is
we
not.
Were very tired. Then.
It is not early for him.
Thanks so much for taking that big
in
chunk
fact,
out of your time.
Velvet T just said this is a good excuse to stay up until 4 a.m. So for all the folks who are staying up, that's well
and
done.
Then everybody go to what was the Stack and Shack, the Steak and Shake, that's open 24 hours.
Stack and Shake.
The
Stack and Shack. That's what we used to call it.
That's the off-brand Steak and Shake.
That was the one. That's what we called it in Atlanta.
Oh, apparently Rich did get Tom's attention. Were there any panels that we could have done but didn't? Yeah, there are panels that we could
tons.
do.
I mean, we go through a list that winnow it down to what we could do and who we have available for it.
This is like the
every
same
year.
thing we keep talking about. Like, ideas are cheap.
Yeah.
So, and yes, you could probably make a character based on Rogue from X-Men in Aberrant, as somebody just asked. I made a character that was a mashup of Kitty Pryde and Scarlet Witch, so I don't see why you can't do that.
Something that Dixie and I are still mulling over, so I don't know if this is going to happen. So this is not announcing anything. This is more just it may or may not happen. Is we've been talking about maybe doing a character creation thing on the Switch channel at some point in the future, and we can maybe do stuff like, how do you make Spider-Man in Aberrant, or how do you make James Bond in Trinity, or whatever?
How do you make X in Deviant? How do you make X in Changeling? Yeah, so like we would love to do something like that. Where we do some pop culture nods, because a lot of folks do ask for character creation advice, or just to get walked through the steps of character creation. And so if we could have a bunch of videos for that, that could be really fun. Yeah. And also, as anyone who's ever played an MMO with me knows, I am an alcoholic and love making characters. Right. So if you just give me an excuse to make characters once a week, I'm going to be like, yes, I will make a character. I love making characters. And then I put them in my folder of characters that I might get to play someday. Because I still have Reina Soroka on my desktop right now from our making thing recently with Scion.
Oh, right, yeah. You still want to play her, yeah.
I do want to play her. She's an agent of chaos. She's super fun.
So
Dixie's characters, every once in a while she gets them out, puts them up all around the house. Okay, everybody, we're having a great party now.
It's like action figures and kind of smashing them together and now kiss, right? So I may be feeding Dixie's addiction. We will see how that goes.
I think it's fun.
We'll have more announcements if and or when that happens.
That is definitely how I do MMOs, Dixie. I totally understand. I just have rafts of characters because I want to try out every combination.
It's part of what makes Final Fantasy XIV so frustrating, because your one character can be every single class. And I'm like, well, what if I want 18 characters? Like, I don't want my one character to be all the classes.
Well, you need 18 accounts.
Right. Well, no, look, you can do that. It's just not efficient, you know? Because you can make your one character level up on everything.
Oh, so there's the intersection of you like characters, but also they have to have value. I see. Okay.
They have to have that spark of life.
Like, if you look at any of my World of Warcraft account, like, servers from back when I was playing, I have one of every class on each one, and I have at least one character from every race, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. I care.
Someone's asking about an online character and rules repository for Onyx Path projects. Specifically like D&D Beyond, it's like we do not have the money for something like D&D Beyond. It'd just be straight up.
Yeah.
But
it would have to be a license that we work with another company that does that sort of stuff. We are not programmers, strangely enough.
But I mean, we are looking into things like we talked before about VTT support, and one of those is being able to do that for things inside of like Roll20, so that or Fantasy Grounds or whatnot. So that way, it's enough of a half step to be able to be like, okay, it's not a custom thing made exactly for our projects, but you know, certainly we can give people to scratch that itch so they can make up dozens of characters in our games if they want to.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent. So. Do we have to tell people how to find us again?
I don't think we do. They're all underneath our faces.
If you don't know how to find us, why are the closing ceremonies of our company-specific convention?
Oh! Is it officially over?
It's officially over.
Onyx Path, thank you for coming to our convention. 10 years, many worlds, one path.
Bye, everybody. See you in a couple hours.